Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself and Jenny Paul from Host for Ghost, Angela from South Coast Ghost, and tonight we have Jamie from Ghost Dragon Investigations with us, talking about their little bit of an investigation they had at the weekend. Which sounds very, very interesting. We had an investigation. Angela was busy with other stuff, so we were at Fort Widley Saturday night, which was quite a good night, very audible night. So if you have any questions or any comments, please send them in. Angela will put them on the screen and we'll try and answer the questions. If you want to interact with us, you're welcome to come on the panel like Jamie does and tell us all the bits and pieces going on. So just contact us and we'll send you out the link and come on and chat to us in the evening. And right, so Saturday night, we were out, myself. Hi, Chris. Good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. We were out Saturday night. Unfortunately, Angela couldn't make Saturday night, but the rest of the team were at Fort Widley in Portersdown Hill Road, is it, Angela? I think Portsdown Hill, yeah. So we were there Saturday night. Good turnout, a lot of guests, between 20 and 25 people, and the normal culprits in the team, as always. Jumpy Gemma, so we're going to call her now. And Cheryl was there. No, unfortunately, no Zoe, Julia, and myself. So we had a good night. When we first got there, we thought we'd go, just the four of us, go down the tunnels and have a quick recce around while there was nobody around, no guests and bits and pieces. Whether that was a good move or not, I'm not sure. But when you're down a tunnel with three jumpy women, it's not really a good idea.
No.
We were right down to the centre. I think we were standing, and it was just very, very audible. We thought we saw something. We saw something being thrown and footsteps, and so it was getting very jumpy. So we decided to go. Well, one of the suggestions was, shall we go back and make sure there's no guests waiting for us? So it's getting a bit hairy when it's done that. But it was, and we thought we saw someone in the tunnel. I think Julia put a picture up on it on the group chat.
She did.
And you could see what looks like a shape of something standing there. Not sure myself. I think I found it very audible rather than visual there Saturday night. There was lots of noises, lots of different things going on. A couple of strange things happened when we were doing glass tipping and all of that type of stuff. So we had a pretty small group, really. So it was quite a nice group. Obviously, when we start, you have to, with the Paranation, you have the free to roam yourself. So we had Alan Toot there and a couple of his team members. They were off like a shot as soon as they got the go ahead. And then, people split off, don't they? You lose most of your guests because most of the guests there were, shall we say, long time. I think Alan said he's done 202 investigations. So he's very well. So he's very well into it. Very well equipped. Very knowledgeable guy. He's with a couple of his friends, and we had two newbies that had never been there before. And the funniest thing was we were seeing people in the gate and getting them into the reception to sign in, and these four ladies turned up. So, hello, welcome, come in, sign the book to let us know you're there. And then they went in, and then they come walking out. I said, well, is it that scary that you're going already? And she went, no, we're at the wrong fort. We should be at a different fort.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It was so funny. I'm like, oh, well, was it that scary, thinking they were going out for a fag or something, because we really wanted to push on and get started, because people were waiting. She said, no, we're at the wrong one. We should be at Fort Purbrook and not Widley.
How far away is
that? It's not far, Andrew, is it?
No, just the other end of the hill.
Oh, is it? Oh, so you got a couple in that area then?
Well, three. Is there 3 or 4 up there? Nelson, Purbrook, Widley.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, and then another one that you can't get into.
Oh.
Southwark, I think.
They're all up, high up on the hill. I put a video on the chat where you could see the outlook from the top of the fall. It's quite impressive height. You get some good views from there. So once they'd gone, we'd all sort of settled down. It was a bit sort of a funny bit of a laugh. How can you go to the wrong fort? How can you have 2 ghost hunts on the same hill in different forts? It's really strange. But anyway, it was quite funny. So we went off for a lit walk around. So we walked around to show people what to do, where they're going. And because yourself, Jamie, and and you would go down them tunnels. They all look the same, didn't you? Once you enter,
Yeah.
you know, if someone was to spin you around or blindfold you, I think you'd have difficulty finding your way out. To be honest, you know, you thinking, and apparently I spoke to a lady that was helping renovate a fort, and she was saying they did that to confuse the enemy. So if they were ever down, it would confuse which way they would be going, which probably makes sense, I suppose, if you've overrun a fort. So that was quite interesting. So after that, it sort of everybody like whoosh, disappeared. Believe it or not. Hi, Christine. Good evening. Welcome to Monday night. So everybody disappeared. So it was very small bits of group, 2 or 3 people, you know, 3 or 4 people. So it was very small groups. Myself and a couple of others, we went down one tunnel, make sure everybody was okay, just doing the normal check around. And we thought we heard someone walking behind us at one stage. We kept looking around, and I don't know, you know, when you know there's something behind you following you, and all 3 or 4 of us kept looking down the tunnel because we're sure there was something coming behind us down the tunnel. Couldn't really see anything. Shone the light and waited there. I put my camera on. Couldn't see anything on the camera really. A couple of orbs, but that was about it really. And then we were standing there, and then it was a very strange audible noise, and it was like someone's going like a really deep breath. Because everybody's going, who was that? Was that someone's tummy? Was that, you know, it was that type of breath. You're thinking, where on earth is that coming from? Because the tunnels echo, don't they, when you're down there? So you're thinking, is it someone down the end but you couldn't hear them down the end of the tunnel. That was the strange thing. So we decided to carry on. And one of our investigators, Gemma, she gets quite jumpy, very sensitive to the, you know, around him. So we decided to go into a small room off the main tunnel. There was myself, Gemma, Luke, and I think Luke's mum was there, or Amy. Anyway, we're standing in this room, and then we put a cat ball out on the floor. We had the table up. Not much in there. You could sort of see the walls through the light. Then suddenly we couldn't see anything. We couldn't even see each other. It went suddenly as dark as dark. And then right behind me, and I think if Gemma comes on, she'll tell you, I was sort of had my back to the wall. And in back of my here, I heard a, and I thought, what the? And as I heard it, I went, like Gemma said, there's someone standing behind you.
Oh, wow.
Literally, she thought she saw someone standing behind me. So I felt that sudden, my hair went up on the back of my, not that I got a great deal of hair, but what I had got left stood up. So I sort of jumped forward. Everybody jumped. Gemma jumped. But obviously we turned the lights on, nothing there. But the room suddenly went back to a normal light again, which we found very strange. It was changing light. And then we thought, well, that's okay. We'll try it again. So we called out, you know, Spirit, thank you for doing that. If you're here, can you come and join us? You know, we come with the utmost respect for you. And then the cat ball started flashing. So we said, we're calling out, Nick, is that you? And nothing. And we said, the nurse that was murdered here, was that you? And Gemma will tell you, we had the strongest smell of lavender perfume I've ever smelt in the room. Literally. All of us smelled all at exactly the same time, went, perfume. What is that what is that smell? And it was like a lavender type perfume. So it was really pungent in the room. And as quick as it came, it disappeared again. You know, I'm thinking, well, could that have been a nurse? You know, hardly, it wouldn't be the soldiers wearing perfume, but, you know, you never know in them days. So that was another strange. So we decided to go down another tunnel with a group. So we're wandering down the tunnel. Again, there's like a mezzanine floor above us. So we were standing up there, not much really, bit of audible noise, but then we had to sort of debunk it because there was people right at the very, very far end of the tunnel. So I came down to have a look, and I thought it's got to be then that we're hearing in the energy, you know, we can hear it like an end of a conversation. So we could debunk that. But as we were standing down, we decided to do table tipping, and Julie was there. A few, it was about 6 or 7 of us there. And I was standing over one side to it because I I don't mind putting my hand on the table, but I'm not too bad. Hi, Russell. Thank you for coming in. So I'm not too bad. So I stand back, and the music box were going off, and one of the ladies had a tripwire. These LED tripwires that flash blue, and then when spirits come near it, it goes pink, sends a pink light out. So a couple of times that was going pink, and the music box was going off. And then they turned around and said to me, "Are you all right?" I went, "Yeah, fine." I said, "Why?" They said, "I don't know. You just look strange. You changed." And I went, "No, I'm fine. It's okay." And I thought, I didn't feel odd or anything was there. So I changed sides and came round to the other side, thinking, "Oh, let me move in case it's the energy around it." So I moved to the other side. So I was standing there, and they were doing on the glass, and the glass was going round and doing what it normally does. And then apparently I was looking at them with the most strangest face. Like I was like going up and looking at each one of them really strangely. Gemma started to get freaked out, saying, No, Paul, that's not you. I said, "Yeah, it's me. I'm all right. It's fine." She said, "You just looked at all of us in the most strangest way that I'd ever seen." But I didn't know I was doing it. And it was like I was like really looking at them, with my eyes wide open, really tight, sort of creepy. Because Gemma was a bit freaked by that. And they all saw it, not just one or two. It was about 5 or 6 of them that were in the room, because it was a bit of light. Once your eyes adjusted, you could see people's faces. And they all said to me, "Something's there," because your face, the way you looked at people was just so creepy. And that was a bit of a strange incident. Not sure whether that was overshadowing or something had come that close, but I didn't feel anything. I'm normally pretty good. I can feel something is coming close, but I never felt that. But they were just saying you had the strangest look, the way you were looking at people in the room, as though you were inquisitive or you were really creepy, is how they put it. You look very creepy in that room. So
Do you think that maybe at one point you just were that in tune with the spirit around you, you just blended for a few minutes?
I did wonder that, because it's a bit, it's a bit like that they come right into you, don't they? And they overshadow you. And I did wonder, although I didn't feel it, didn't feel odd or, anything like it was using my energy, but they're saying, "Don't look at us like that. It's creepy." And I'm like, really looking at them, like really closely, each and every one of them. It was like when we had the mirror scrying in the Lamb, where the head stood still, but the face actually moved and looked at everybody. Because Gemma's going, no, that's not right. And I'm like, what are you on about? What's going on? What's wrong? Because I'd like to come out of it. "Hi, it's Gemma. We thought Paul had got possessed." There you go. It literally was like that. It's just like someone had come in and wanted to look around the room at us. It literally was like that. Like Gemma said, they all saying, "You're possessed." I went, "No, I'm not. It's just me. There's nothing wrong with me," and I was perfectly fine. But obviously, I hadn't realised what was going on. So, like Jamie said, whether it was overshadowing, and he just wanted to have a look at each and every one person in the room, I don't know. It was a very, very strange. And I felt all right, walked out the room. Not that I thought, "Well, hang on a minute, let me see if I've got an attachment or I've got something that got a bit of a, hooked onto me." But I took myself outside for a little while and I was fine, perfectly fine. I knew I hadn't got anything because I didn't have the feelings and I couldn't sense anything.
Yeah.
And they were all saying in the tea room, we was having a cup of tea sort of halfway through, they're saying that was creepy. Never see anything like it. You were possessed. I'm not possessed. I'm just me. It's just the fucking way.
Yeah,
Sorry?
sometimes I don't think it's a possession. I think sometimes you just get so in tune with certain spirits around you, like maybe you've just got like a natural connection that they do come into you, and then you get more of a response from that solo spirit itself.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, you were possessed," I think possession's like quite a strong term for sure. I think that's if you're going down a possession route, the only way you're going to get out of that is someone there to help you.
Yeah.
So, when it naturally comes in and out, I think that's just more of a really strong spiritual connection.
Yeah. I think so, because you know, like Gemma said, the room got darker and darker. Like, you know, something's going to happen because the atmosphere in the room changes and the lighting changes, doesn't it? So you already know something's in the room with you. You know, whether it's going to show itself is another matter. But I wouldn't say, like you say, I wouldn't say I was possessed. I think it was overshadowing. That's what he done. Because obviously, if you're possessed, you know yourself something's gone wrong. You know, you're not going to walk away from that without something happening. And I didn't even know it happened, but it was just they say, no, it's something, you know, all panicky. And I'm like, what? What's wrong? You know, never said anything bad or gave anything like it was something bad had happened. It was just, and I think, like you say, it was overshadowing. Russell Olds love that when that happens, just shows what spirit can do, lol. They can come that close into your energy. And if you're open a little bit, like myself, like I am, like most investigators are, because you want something to happen, don't you? Not especially not as to you, but you don't mind what goes on. And Gemma's, but I've never known Paul to be so jumpy, but maybe that was hanging out with me much that night. Gemma's very jumpy, very, very. What was that? What was that? And she'll tell you about the lavender smell. So I think what happened is because someone was a bit jumpy, a bit edgy, it sort of made everybody else a little bit edgy. So you heard a noise, you say, where did that come from? But we had some good audible contact, and obviously the overshadowing was good. Although we never caught it on camera, it'd have been interesting to see whether, although they say that my face changed, but it would have been nice to see it on camera. Hi Tanya, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. It would have been nice to see whether your face would have changed. You know what I mean? Whether you'd have got a sudden moustache or your face had gone a different shape. But I don't know. But they all saw it and all said to me, "Oh my God, you've just changed." I went, "No, I'm me. It's me. I'm back. I'm not gone anywhere." And it was just by moving around the room. I don't know why I moved from one part of the room to the other. Whether spirit made me go that way because I couldn't see all the people from that side, so they made me go round the other side so they could see each and every person. That's what I'm thinking. That because there's no reason for me to walk around the other side where I could see everybody because some of them had their backs to me because they were on the table. But I was sort of looking around the corner like you do, see what the glass was doing and sort of bit of filming of the glass and the way people were standing and what's going on in the room. And I thought, well, I'll go and walk around the other side and have a look round there. Gemma's, but we kept smelling lavender to it. And me and Paul thought we saw someone popping around the wall in the opening. When we smelt the lavender, although the room was dark, the doorway was obviously sort of an arch shape, aren't they? And just as that lavender smell got really strong, we both looked because we thought we heard something in the corridor. And as we looked, at the same time, me and Gemma saw what we thought was someone pop their head round the corner and disappear again. Because that then freaked Gemma right out. And I'm thinking, I said, who was that? Thinking someone had just, what are you up to? And we'd obviously shone the torch, there was no one there. But we definitely saw a head come round the corner. And like, look, I would say spirit moved you. I think so, Russell. I really do. There's no reason for me to move from one side of that room to the other so I could see the faces of everybody other than spirit wanted to see what was going on. Hi, Tanya. We got it on film at Merley, but the camera got stolen. Neil looked like a monkey. How weird is that? It's a shame the camera got stolen, isn't it? Because it's felt good evidence, isn't it, really? But there was literally no reason to move from around the room, no reason at all. But you know, spirit obviously wanted to have a look, come in and be a bit nosy, and I was probably a bit open to it, you know, and that's what happened. But it was very audible, knocks and taps, and you know, a few times we heard this. I can only describe like everybody was in the tunnels, and I can only describe it like what was it like? Like a massive bang, and like the whole building sort of vibrated. And if you get a door slam, you normally get that bang, don't you? But this seemed to be it only happened about twice that night, but a massive, and everybody heard it in all the tunnels. So I'm not quite sure what we'd heard the bang, but it was the most immense bang. We're thinking, what on earth is that? Maybe that's someone outside on a motorbike. But on the top of the hill, it wouldn't have made a bang on the motorbike because you'd have heard it going along in the distance, wouldn't you? And this literally was the biggest bang. You can only do. I think I'd be stretching the truth if I said it sounded like a cannon.
Hello,
Hi,
guys.
Ben.
Yeah,
So,
bud.
so
Yeah,
I'd be
good.
stretching the truth if I said it sounded like a cannon, because that would be trying to make something up.
Is there
But
a lot of like farmers' fields around there?
a lot of what, sorry?
Farmers' fields? No.
It's on the massive
Okay.
hill and it's all Navy owned in it, Angela, all that hill.
I think so, but on one side of the hill you've got like Portsmouth, and the other side it is a lot of fields.
Not unless someone was
There's
like
farm
doing a bit
fields.
of testing with like some military stuff.
Could be. I mean, it could well be something, but it was the biggest bang, even though we were far down in the tunnels, and a door would just go bang, and you think that's a door, you know straight away. But this seemed to make the whole place vibrate. So I'm not quite sure what that was. I'm sure it was a couple of times, 3 times. Gemma might remember the bang. But I'm thinking, well, that's a very strange noise to be this far down in the tunnel, but never really thought any more of it. But all in all, that was a good night, a very audible night. I'd say we saw a few things and the overshadowing and the head popping around the corner, which was quite good. But Gemma was really on edge for the rest of the night then. So you sort of get a bit edgy with her, bless her. But it was different. It was a different night there. It was a good night. So that was our exploration underground. We'll go to Jamie and then we'll go to Ben because Ben were out with Dave. Unfortunately, Dave's unwell tonight. So get well soon, mate. We'll see you soon. So Jamie was out with his team, Ghost Dragon Investigations, at the weekend. So do you want to give us a bit of your story, mate, and how you got on?
So basically, we went to Cold Harbour Mill, just on the outskirts of Clumpton. I'm not sure if it's in Somerset or Dorset. It's the borders are so strange around there. It's one of those. We went with an event group called Everglow Investigations. Now we tend to go with them quite a lot because they're just like basically they're good family friends now. It was a real good turnout. Like I say, it's a lovely venue down there. It's can't remember if it might be 1700s it was built. It's Tanner probably start popping up some info for me in a minute, who's in the chat. It's one of the oldest textile mills still working in the country.
Somerset.
There you go.
You were right.
And they still make, like I say, 2 or 3 like tartan sort of linen materials down there. So they've still got a lot of work in original machinery, which is fantastic. So yeah, we got there quite early. Everyone got set up. They had quite a good turnout of people. We ventured off first part of the night because our group was there, so we just get given a walkie-talkie and off we go. And we started off in like the air raid shelter. So they've still got a air raid shelter. It's still got like all the old like stretchers in there, some of the old like first aid kits, the lanterns, everything's still set up on the walls, all on its little hooks. They've even got like a little toilet in the bottom end, like a little cubicle with a like old curtain on it with a hole in the seat. So it's like we were in there. It was quite quiet to start with. We had everything set up, 2 cameras going, and it was just very quiet for a while. We had a few of like the devices going off, saying a few things. We had Paratech on, and that's when it first started saying element. So we were like, okay, we keep getting element. That's interesting. And then we thought we started getting a few sort of sounds like around us. So we're still calling out. And then it's like, all right, if there are any spirits here, please come forward now. And we had the cat ball go off on the table. So, okay, so something's here. What way are you wanting to like communicate? And it was still a bit quiet for a while. And then another cat ball started going off behind us. So it's like, okay, there's definitely something here. We're not sure how you want to sort of communicate. So we were still calling out. So we thought, right, we've got our table in here. Let's try the table. Tried table tipping to start with. The table was creaking as if it wanted to move, like the energy was in the table. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
The energy was in the table, but it wasn't really moving. It was just creaking a lot and like a little bit of swaying. So it's like, well, maybe the energy, it's still early in the night. Maybe it's not quite that time to do this. So we did like a bit of glass work. So we got the glass work going, and it was the most
Hello,
bizarre
Daddy.
glass work I've ever seen. The glass was just moving so smoothly and slowly, but it wasn't doing like the usual glass where it's like bombing around, like, you know, moving around the table. It was doing like little zigzags. And it was like just zigzagging for ages. And it's like, well, we're not quite sure. Is it trying to write something? What's it doing?
Yeah.
So, you know, you keep asking questions like try and build up some energy, try and show us your yes or no. But for some reason it was only reacting to just two members in that particular spot. So it would only listen to me and Chris, who's just
Yeah, he said
messaged
it was
them.
playful.
Yeah, it was just, and obviously we were trying to figure out, are you male? And it kept saying no. Are you female? No. Are you a little child playing? No. And it's like, well, what could it be? Couldn't
Yeah.
figure out the stuff. And that's when all of a sudden we're like, right, so what are you? Are you like from this plane before? Have you passed on? And it said no. And with it saying no, the paratech went elemental.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So it's like, right, are you an elemental spirit? And then it's like, yes, like really quickly. Then like the glass started speeding up, and then you could just feel like the ambient sort of atmosphere was changing quite rapidly, and it was getting quite uncomfortable.
Mm.
And then the glass started getting quite aggressive on the table.
Yeah.
They can be a bit like that, can't they? They
Yeah.
can be very aggressive when they want to.
Yeah.
Tanya's, but I'm gutted I missed this time. It sounds different to the last two visits.
Yeah, it was Tanya. It was totally like the energy was just not its usual self. It just didn't feel comfortable. I got to go through like obviously the two cameras we had set up and have a look and see if we got any like audible sounds or
Yeah.
like orbs and that. But that's sort of what we had there. So we went back to first break and just started seeing how other people were getting on. And everybody was having the same issue. All their equipment was draining.
Oh,
People
wow.
were changing batteries non-stop on that first thing. And this guy's like, this is a brand new, he bought one of those, what is it? It's kind of like a REM pod, but it's sort of like a REM pod sort of ovulus thing. I cannot remember what it was called. He was showing me. I cannot remember what one it's called. And he's like, I've just put brand new batteries in this, looking forward to using it. I said, I had it on 5 minutes, and he said it just died. I just couldn't use it for the whole 40 minutes we were in there.
Oh, wow.
And there's other people going, yeah, we've got a camera set up. We've just had to change the batteries because they were gone after 5-10 minutes.
Was using good energy then, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's when I got chatting to like the owner of the group, and she's like, "Oh, where have you been? We've just been here and this and this. Like, well, we've just done this, and then we're going to do this." She's like, "Okay." She said it's a bit of a funny
Tanya's
atmosphere.
got Hexcon.
Yeah, it could be that one. I can't remember what it was called. So this is when like someone's just the other group. There was 3 groups. The other group said that they'd just been to the sort of where the boiler room sort of steamworks was of the main sort of parts, and they said, "Oh, it's very strange down there. We're not quite sure what's going on. It's felt very uncomfortable." It's like, it's funny that just where we've been quite uncomfortable, and if you're going in there, we're not going to say anymore. We want to see what you pick up on.
Yeah.
So we sort of went round there. We sort of walked in a bit, sort of feels a bit uncomfortable, but let's try round in the main bit where like you've got the boiler and like some of the massive machinery that like the guy's trying to get fixed. It's just incredible. Proper steam working sort of components.
Nice.
and we were calling out in there, and we sort of thought we were getting something, but it still seemed quite like the air was flat. Didn't seem like there was much response. So we gave it sort of 15 minutes. Wasn't a lot in there. So we went back round to the original place where we felt something. And as soon as we walked back in there, oh, what's Chris put?
The boiler room was interesting.
Yeah. So we walked back round there, and straight away, once everyone stood in there, and it was like, yeah, we can feel something's here, but what is it? So we set everything up again. We're calling out. People were feeling more uncomfortable than they were like activity from the spirit balls, or we've got like a tracer wire like you were just talking about, but that wasn't going off unless you stood on it by accident, which happened quite a lot that night because you just can't see the tracer wire. So you just kept standing on it, and then this little face is like glowing at you. It's like, oh, sorry, I've stood on it again. And then all of a sudden you start hearing a few little knocks and taps on like bits of equipment. And it's like, right, well, something's definitely here. Where are you? And then we started getting some interesting flashes and bangs. Like, so behind the machinery that you're not allowed to walk between, there's like a staircase which goes up, obviously, to check the machinery from the top. Sounded like something was sort of skulking around there. And then one of our members, she started getting pushed, like quite aggressively. She's just stood there. So like Chris, who's in the chat, he had to keep holding her because she was like really going like off her feet to like forward. And it's like, right, you're gonna have to step away soon because it's getting, it's not nice to do.
Yeah.
And then another one of our members is like stood in the sort of like the very pinnacle corner of between the machinery. Like they've got like
Where were
barriers
you?
up.
Sorry.
Cold Harbour
Sorry,
Mill.
I missed
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
of it. Sorry,
So
I was late.
We were back down in Cold Harbour Mill, sort of down the M5 past Wellington. It's
Some
Is
like
that
of
the
sort of the
oldest.
Crystal Way?
Further than that, keep
Further
going
on.
down.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So sort of
Exeter?
halfway between sort of Taunton and Exeter.
oh, that's
So-
quite a distance for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic place. It's highly recommended.
Does sound
Um,
good.
Chris has put he would not let her go of her.
No, it would not, would it?
To our friend from the last time, do you think maybe Tanya's put?
I'll get to that in a minute, Tan, about my friend. So another one of our members has stood in like the corner. So like a lot of the machinery has like handrails round because you can visit it during the day. Like you can go in the cafe, etc. So it's obviously health and safety. And she was stood in the corner and she went, I can't stand here much longer. She said, I feel real. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke. How you doing?
Okay,
Oh, you
is
sound
that
like
Luke? Is that a
sound like Minnie
Dalek?
Mouse. Sound like Minnie Mouse.
That
What's
Dalek.
going on?
Dr.
Yeah.
Luke.
Dr. Luke.
Luke, try your microphone, mate. Luke, log off and log back on again. I think you've got interference there.
Sound like you're underwater. What's going on? What's going on, Luke? What's going on with your mic?
Bloody chipmunks, isn't it?
Tip a Dale.
Two browsers open.
Luke, log off and then log back on again.
It's Alvin, Simon, and Theodore.
Yeah. Maybe you've got two browsers open or something.
Something's
It does
going on
sound like
there. It's
chipmunk.
bouncing between the two,
It
isn't
does.
it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jamie.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Sally, one of our members, was stood in the corner and she said, I can't sit here or stand here any longer. She said, I feel cold. Something's really making me feel oppressed. She said, I got to step away because I'm starting to feel dizzy. I feel sick. So she stepped away and like my boy decided to go stand over there. It's like, all right, fair game. Like, so just to catch you up a bit more, Julia, it was my son's first investigation Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
So he turned 18 a few weeks ago, and it was like he really wants to do it, so he came along for his first one.
Nice.
So he stood there for a bit. So he thought, right, we're getting a little bit. So what do we do? Should we try glasswork straight away. Let's try some glasswork just in case the spirit from previous has followed us. Then we had the same thing again. The glass, it wasn't like, to start with, it was just slowly doing circles to build up energy, etc. And then it just went into full like aggression, like real sharp movements on the table. And we were like, right, so you're sort of not really talking to us again. You're just mucking about. So we put like something in so you can interact with. So we put the cat ball back in the glass, and I absolutely love that. It went nuts. That is a right, Luke.
Is that it?
That's
There you
Hey!
go. That's
Right.
much better. You sound human.
You sound like Chip and Dale, though.
Yeah. So yeah, once we put the cat ball in, the it got a bit more responsive. It was sort of whatever was there was sort of answering questions, but it was more obsessed with just moving the ball around the board.
Do you
So
think
at
there
one
was
point,
more elementals there than one? Or do you think it was just one?
I don't know. It didn't feel like the elemental this time, but it didn't feel comfortable. You know, the sort of aura of that place once it got going did not feel comfortable at all. And it's like, right, where are you? Can you sort of show us with the glass where you're stood to? And it literally went to one corner of the table and then it just kept walking the glass around the table with the ball on it. But what it was doing, it was putting the ball halfway off the table and just rolling it around the edge and just kept doing that continuously. Like the ball didn't fall out for ages, just kept putting it around the edge of the table.
Strange, isn't it?
Really bizarre.
What was the temperature like in the room? Was it really cold or
Well,
just...
it was cold at one point, and then we got out our thermal camera to check it, and near the table spot, the temperature was around 2 degrees lower
Oh,
than anywhere else. So it wasn't like a massive jump, but it's still
no,
like enough. You know, a couple of degrees is quite sort of,
especially in a concentrated area as well.
yeah, especially when you've been stood there for 15, 20 minutes with like eight bodies in there. You know, the temperature should rise technically.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
always found that when there's ghosts, people say it gets colder, but I've always found it gets really hot. Like, you know when they say you can cut the atmosphere with a knife? Sorry, I've
Yeah.
just been rushing around all evening. It almost feels to me like it gets really, really hot and the atmosphere gets really dense and heavy.
Sometimes, yeah.
But maybe that's just me that feels that.
I
I don't know
think
whether it's the same for
sometimes,
everybody.
like sometimes when we've had like spiritual interactions, the temperature does warm up.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
I think the energy raises. Once you start to
Yeah.
raise the energy, you raise temperature, won't you?
maybe sometimes like you were saying earlier, Paul, when you had that sort of experience with like the connection with us. Maybe sometimes if you get a good connection with a spirit, maybe the vibrations come up, so everything does
Mm.
warm up.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
you get a bit more interaction. I don't know.
I suppose, like you say, when things start to happen, your energy rises anyway, don't they? Russell put, I'm the same. I find it. I get really warm when something is around.
Yeah,
So I
maybe
think
it's just
Hmm.
your
the
energy
energy in your
rises,
body.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's that
Yeah,
vibration from like, yeah, it could be.
yeah. I think
Um,
any vibration creates heat anyway, doesn't it? You know, whether
but
it's
yeah,
music, vibration, whatever. So maybe, like you say, the vibration of our body changes. And if you've got 6 or 7 people in there, you're going to start to bring the
yeah.
heat
But
temperature
like I
up.
say, the temperature stayed about the same, and that's that certain spot where the table was, where we were getting a lot of movement with the glass and the ball, was always 2 degrees lower.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's like, so we did that for another good 10, 15 minutes. And then within that, my boy went, I don't feel comfortable anymore, Dad. He said, I don't like it here. Something's making me feel strange. And it's like, right, well, it's your first time, so step away. So he stepped away, and I said, just stand in the corner and collect yourself again. And I said, but you have to tell whatever that feeling is to step away and go away yourself. You have to do it yourself to start with. And I said, if it gets too much, then I will step in and help you. But he was good. He stood there and he just told it to back off. And it was like really impressive for his first time.
Nice. That's really nice to see. Someone that's sensible as well. You know, knowing the
Yeah.
limit. Say no. I've got to get out of this. Because some people go beyond that limit, and then there's a problem
They
in there.
just go too
Yeah.
quiet, don't they? They feel like what they're trying to say might not be right or just going to be silly because he's
Yeah.
quite young.
Yeah.
And then you get yourself in trouble. But he, obviously he's listened to me when I've been out
Yeah.
on investigations, and I've always talked about like the pros and cons of what you should and shouldn't do. So he's always had
Yeah.
a bit of information about it.
Which is always
But
good, isn't it?
but for some reason, like shortly after that, the spirit started on with one of our members again, and she was just constantly being shoved. And then Sally as well, she literally said, Jay, I just need your energy a minute. She said, because I feel sick. She said, I'm going to have to leave this room in a minute if this doesn't go away. So we had to sort of sort Sally out first. And then I had to go over because Ellie had been trying all night to stop getting pushed. And she's telling it, look, back away. I don't want you here. She's trying to be, and she couldn't. So I literally had to go over and sort of nigh on be like the shield to stop it.
Yeah.
And you could
Yeah.
feel something was around her. You could really feel it. It was like quite an imposing sort of energy.
Why do you think he targeted her then?
She's ever since I've known her from when she was little, she's been very sensitive to the spiritual world. I mean, I've been told like times when she used to live at home that she used to sit up on the bed and she'd be talking to herself or talking to spirits around her.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's quite open.
Yeah, so she's very sensitive. So I think they can just pick where she's still quite new to doing the paranormal investigating side.
Right.
And she's still like learning how to like build up her barriers herself, that she's susceptible to a little bit more give.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think every time we go out, it's like a school day, isn't it? We learn
Yeah.
something different every time we go out. You get someone that says, "Oh yeah, I've done X amount and it's all right." You know, you got to sort of wonder about them, because I find, being in this game for quite a long time, you know, I find every time we go out, it's something different. So I'm learning
Yeah.
every time I go out.
Yeah.
And Gemma's put, it's funny how spirit can make us feel like sick, sad, laughing, etc. This, you know, that's how powerful they can be. And also they need the energy to be able to create noises and stuff. And, you know, I think sometimes you feel sick because they're drawing so much energy down at your body
I
that you're
think,
starting to deplete, aren't you? You know,
yeah,
you're
I
starting
think
to run out of energy.
that's the thing. When you're not actually giving it sort of freely to whatever's around you because it's making you feel uncomfortable, they're trying to force maybe your energy out of you. And that's where you start getting that sort of uncomfortable, sick feeling.
And even
Yeah.
if you go to the same place like time and time again, you can't say this is going to happen or we're going to contact this person, because
No.
every visit is completely different to the visit before.
Yeah,
The people,
definitely.
guests are different, and yeah, it's just completely different to the visit before.
Yeah. Well, that's been my third or fourth time going there. And that's the only time where that energy and the sort of whatever spirits or entities are around made the atmosphere and just everything uncomfortable. It's never been like that before.
Sounds like a great place, but I think just unfortunately it's just that little bit too far for us.
Yeah, it is like I suppose the only saving grace for it, because it's right by the motorway. I suppose you could get like a cheap sort of lodgings down there if needed, because you're sort of like directly on them. But it is a long way.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it'll
So
take us to get there.
you have to
I'll
have
Google
a little,
it.
have a little Google. As a
Yeah.
crow fly quickly, but on the roads could be anything.
You
It
never
did
know,
good,
do you?
though.
So yeah, that was, and we had to literally stop the table because it was just it just felt like it started getting aggressive, and we were just giving it what it wanted.
Oh,
Makes
yeah,
you
about
makes you wonder why it's there, though, doesn't it? Why is there?
Oh,
Why would there be an elemental
it's
there?
just well, like I
about
say, we're not sure.
2:45, nearly 3 hours. Oh,
Oh, that is,
quite a trek. Yeah,
yeah,
quite a
it's
trek,
like,
isn't it?
yeah, it's an hour from where we live, so it's still like a trek in itself. But we literally, then we had the ping to say we had 10 minutes before break. So we're like, right, we'll start packing up now. We took a few Polaroids, which we're going to have to look through, because we swore like we could just sense something was up above on like the sort of the galley up there looking down on us. And it was sort of towards the end. Like, I think once it started getting energy, you started hearing like bangs up there and like footsteps down the stairs. And it's
Wow.
like, yeah, this is getting quite intense.
Yeah.
So it got to the point we packed up, we went back to base, and the same thing. I had 2 batteries which I had to change again. Someone else was changing their batteries over. Someone's equipment just wouldn't work at all again, just went completely dead, which was
Wow.
bizarre. Our XLS wouldn't work at all.
Nothing at all.
From the start of the night, we loaded it up. Yeah, great working. Took it as soon as we stepped into that air raid shelter, dead. Wouldn't work. Completely dead. Was not interested. There was power in it. It was all turning on, but it just wouldn't do anything.
Makes you
So-
wonder if you weren't meant to see something, doesn't
No,
it?
that's what we were thinking. We were thinking
Yeah.
that maybe that was like the spirit saying, "I don't want you seeing me through this, so you're not using it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They
we
can do
went back
that,
to
can't they?
base. We did a bit of a happy birthday because there was a couple of our members whose birthday it was on that day.
Nice.
Got a little bit of energy buzzing again with everyone singing and whatnot. And then that's when one of the other groups, the leader of the group, come up to me and said, "Where have you just come from?" And I was like, "We've just been down the boiler room." It felt really uncomfortable. And she said, "It's not like me to do this." She said, "But I can sense that from here, and I do not want to go in that room." And it's like, no, I was going to say it wasn't comfortable when we were in there, and
Yeah.
we were dealing with it the best we could. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Do you mind if we just sort of hunker in the same part of the building you'll be in?" It's like, "Yeah, that's perfectly fine."
Safety in numbers.
Yeah. So I said, "Well, if," and she's saying, "Oh, the spirits are being really funny tonight. You're getting interaction. They've had a little bit, but they're just not giving people enough evidence," which can happen, isn't it? You know, that
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
they're programmed to give everybody jump scares. And I just said, "Well, if you want to, give us half an hour on the top floor and bring everybody up, and we'll do a big seance and get people involved in what we do, because maybe the more energy we got in the room, the better it'd be."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went up
And
to
how
my
did that?
favourite room. So it's like the main part of the mill where they do a lot of the textiling. Up the very, very top is the original wooden floors. So it's like coming down like a ski mountain. There's that many bumps in it. They all sort of move about. It's like proper, like original. So we set up in there, and straight away, once we got set up, atmosphere changed straight away. And I stood there and I went, "I know who's already here, and he is pissed that I am back in this room." So we set our gear up. Catball started going nuts up there.
You love that room, Chris, but
Yeah. So we set up, we set everything up. We got pretty much set up in case people come up. And we started calling out, and we started getting knocks and bangs, and the catballs were going off. And then we thought, right, what was key to last time unlocking like a lot of the spirits in this specific area? It's like the good old trusty spirit board that never fails up here. That thing just comes alive. And within that, boom, we didn't even need to say, "We'll start with circles, build up some energy." The thing just started going straight away.
wow.
With just 3 of us on it. They started saying who was here. We had what was it? An old chap named Dominic come through. And then he was basically saying that he died there when he was doing a 48-hour shift.
Mm.
It's really weird. He said who he was,
Oh.
and then he put what was it, Chris? Can you remember? It was 48. He said a phrase and we couldn't figure it out. So Chris said, "I'm just going to pop down the end of the room and I'm going to Google search what he said." So it was something to do with he was either referencing to a wake, to a specific time before a funeral, or to do with a 48-hour shift.
Oh, wow.
And literally, we were talking about it. And when we said, "Oh, maybe he did a 48-hour shift," the planchette flew up to yes straight away. And it was like, right, that's fantastic. Keep talking to us. and like some of the other bits, the equipment was still going off. The aero flux was bleeping constantly because there was changes in the atmospheric pressure constantly. We
Yeah.
don't know if that's just to do with the room or if that was because the more the board was moving, the more energy was pulsating in the room. We wasn't sure.
Weird.
And then we had a load of people come in. Some people went off to do their own little thing after that, but we kept. Sorry, I was just see Tan's put something.
She's put the board flies up there.
Yeah. So a few people, I said, right, I'm going to step off the board a minute because I'm going to start trying to do something now and see what happens. So we had about 5 people on the spirit board and it was just flying again. And they managed to get through this lady who I'd spoke to before.
Oh,
So I
wow.
wasn't on the board. And literally I stood in the room and I said, I know who's here and I know he doesn't like me here. I don't want him around the board for now because I want his wife to come through and I want her to talk. And yeah, he was basically like, I was stood a good 15 foot from the board and I was just in an ice pocket on my own, like a full on ice pocket. So he was obviously didn't like me and he was trying to make himself like a proper physical presence.
Wow. Harriet was her name, Chris has put.
Yeah. So his wife Harriet come through and I could literally, before the planchette moved, so the board couldn't hear me and someone was not far from me. I was literally saying how old she was, how many kids she had, and how many of each she had without them hearing it. It was coming through on the spirit board.
Wow. That's strange, wasn't it?
Because I just remember, just like I could literally just reel off from what I remember and I could just hear her in my head. And then within that, he'd had enough and they were all on the board and all of a sudden they said, oh, this board's changed. This is completely changed now. And then he come on the board and they started saying, oh, and I said, I know who it is. And his name would come through in a minute. And he just started swearing on the board at me, just telling me I was a dirty bee. I was a twat. I was the C word. He was coming out with all sorts.
Wow.
Tanya's put, did you get his name at last?
Yeah, it's on is Henry, which was up on that so when we were up there when we were up there last time, they've changed the room around now. They actually had like the family trees up on like on the walls, like basically showing people who were doing the tour, who started it and how the family like transcended through to keep it. And
Yeah.
he was up there. His name and his wife's name were up there.
Wow.
And that's how we started.
Was he a worker or was he in
No,
charge of the foreman?
he was one of, I think it was 3 brothers that
Oh,
owned
okay.
the textiles. And
Right.
from what we got from when Harriet come through, he was just a drunken arsehole. He was very
Wow.
abusive. He womanized. He had more
That's
children
strange.
than he let on. And we found this all out from the 2 times we've been, and he just hates me. He absolutely, because I won't back down to him whatsoever. If
Yeah.
anything, I probably goaded him a little bit too much when we're up there, but I felt comfortable in what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was going off, and we managed to get a little bit of auto scripting
Nice.
done.
Busy
So,
night then.
yeah, it was a busy night. Like one of our members went under and she started writing out about another old chap who was there, who worked there for a long time. So I need to find the paper and take a picture and show you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we'd be interested in that. But it was a
So
busy night then, wouldn't you?
it like I say, it was in spits and spats. It was one of those where it would be really quiet and then it's just like you get a surge and then you just get a load of activity and then it just dies off again. Like I say,
Wow.
it was just a bizarre
Interesting.
night, especially with
Interesting.
whatever that sort of elemental
Yeah.
spirit thing that started in the bunker. Just where it come from, I don't know, because I've never felt that there before.
Nah, strange, isn't it? Makes
Yeah,
you
it
wonder
was
what's
really
happened there,
strange.
doesn't it? Is it frequently used by other groups then, the venue?
I think I think quite a few people started like using it now, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
That was
yeah,
fun.
like I say, it's my third time there, and it's just it does always something always happens, whether it's a lot or not. You always get something.
Yeah. How strange is that? That's weird. Nice one. Thanks, Jamie. That was very interesting. Julia, how did you get on Saturday night? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I was away with the fairies.
How
Saturday,
yes. How did you get on Saturday?
very well, very well. We came in. We managed to get there early, and we had I had like a quick health and safety with the caretaker. We got all our equipment in, set all our kit up and everything. And we were lucky enough to have a little bit of spare time to go and have a little bit of a mooch round on our own. And we went down in the tunnels. There's 4 of us, and we stopped at the spiral staircase. And we thought, oh, we're just staying. You know, we got like 15 minutes or so until the guests start to arrive. We'll just stay here and just see what we can get. And I'm still trying to sort of like take it all in of what happened, and I've managed to like sort of get the video down. I should have sent it across to Andrew and we could have had a bit of a listen. But it's just been honestly absolutely chaotic today. And we managed to sort of like get down to where we were standing there, and we were hearing all sort of like noises down the tunnels. And Gemma said to me, well, she said to all of us, she said, look, she goes, I don't mean to be funny. She said, but I'm not going to take a group off on my own, because it was just that eerie. It was just that eerie, and it was so funny. But we were hearing, and when I was like listening to it yesterday, I managed to get like a bit of recording of when I was like walking down the tunnels on my own. I think it was like halfway through the night, and I got just trying to think what I got. The name Colette. There was another name. It sounded like Someone Get Up, or I can't remember the name, but it was another name, Get Up. And then sort of like some other bits and pieces, and then it said Colette. But I've sent it to my friend because she's got these really good headphones and this really good thing where she can pick out like words and that better than what I can hear. So I sent it across to her and said, when she's got a moment, can she just like have a little listen and see what she can get from it? But I've cut out all the bits that I think where I can hear words. But it's just, it's one of those places where you don't think you get much, but when you the next day and you're like looking through your footage and like all the videos I got, because everything we do I try and video so that we got some evidence of what we're doing, like glass moving, Ouija board, cat ball going off, those sort of things. And it was just like I didn't take enough photos, but I took one photo and someone said, oh, I think I can see someone standing there, so I lightened it up and everything, and it does look like there's someone standing there in one of the tunnels with this like yellow piece of paper or something, and you're like, well, that's what it looks like to me. But yeah, really strange, really strange night. It was just had a weird atmosphere, and even Alan and Stuart who came said that it had a different feel that night. But yeah, it was just one thing I was impressed with is a couple of ladies who came, they had a tripwire, and we had that laid out, and I've seen them, being sold, but I've never actually seen one laid out on the floor or anything, so I didn't really see, I've never seen one working. And they laid it out, and basically it's this long piece of like tube, and it's got this blue light that just like goes up and down, up and down. It's just a blue dot, and it just goes up and down, up and down. And if you step over the tube, about 5 little like red lights will come on. So it senses you treading over it, a bit like the shadow tracker. Where if you put your hand near it, it will go off. This tube, you literally just step over it, and about 5 or 6 like red lights flash up to show that someone has stepped over it. So we were just there. I think we were doing a glass moving or something like that, and you did see a step over it. It did like light up red for a brief second. A few of us saw it, but you know, it's way too fast for you to, oh, let's video it, you know. And then the blue light changed to purple, and this big purple like light just went straight up the strip. And I said, oh, is it supposed to do that? And she said, no, it's just like a blue light that just goes up and down. But I would like one. I would like one. It looked amazing and very interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like the Tracer 2 wire. I was trying to buy one.
They just said it was a paranormal tripwire, so I'm not really a big fan of these gadgets, but this one I thought was really quite smart.
Yeah, because I know that some of the more advanced ones, which cost a pretty penny, when they change like maybe to the purple or a certain color, that's to do with like temperature change, like rapid temperature change.
Oh right. Oh okay.
Yeah, because there's one I tried buying one, and it was called a Tracer 2 wire. It was going to cost me about 200 quid.
Oh okay.
But it's like the Tracer 2 one is the one I want to get, but it's American. So unless they get them in stock over here, it costs way too much to get in this country. It's like once you put the tax and the deportation tax on, you just well go and buy a small car. But this one, I'm just fascinated by it because that one's the same. It's just a wire up through. It's an LED. It flashes it up. It stays a certain color, and if anything walks across it or near it, it changes color and will follow their footsteps down the wire.
It was it was very interesting, and we did see it change red. You know, like a footstep size. You know, as if someone just trod over it. So
I know you can get them with a rope. They call them trip rope.
We've just bought a REM pod tracer. So it's like a little REM pod. Yeah, it's like a little REM pod, and it's got like a single wire through it. And basically, if anything walks over it or goes near it, it flashes to let you know something has touched that wire.
I know at the end of the night, Luke, you had some good stuff on your REM pod, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it made like a weird tune. It never does that before. It's like someone playing with it.
Yeah. It was really interesting. Right at the end of the night, wasn't it? In the room.
Yeah,
because we had a
upstairs.
different base room, didn't we? We had a different base room this time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a different place.
The only thing we found with the REM pods and the tracer wires is if you've got, if you're going on an event and people use walkie-talkies just to let people know when it's like break time or is anybody moving about.
We don't do anything like that.
Yeah. as soon as you press the button, the REM pod was like going.
Yeah.
So we now know, like, if anyone's going to use a walkie-talkie when the pod's out, it's literally like, right, I'm just going to hit the walkie-talkie, so you know, because it will literally just pick that amount of energy off of it.
Yeah.
We had because we don't use walkie-talkies and we don't have like any sort of like schedule or anything. We just go with the flow, and we were literally just in this. As you go into Fort Woodley, our base room was on the right this time, but we decided towards the end of the night to venture onto the left. We were doing some glass moving. Luke had his REM pod set up, and all of a sudden, didn't it, Luke? It just did this like really weird noise, you know, like a tune, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I used it in the tunnels, and it never worked in the tunnels. Just up there.
Didn't get anything from it down there, did we?
No.
It's as if a spirit's gone up to it and gone, "What is this? What is it doing?"
Yeah.
Oh look, it's flashing. What's this?
Hooray! Something works. Hooray!
But it must be if they've never seen something like that before, just suddenly gone up to it, like had the courage to touch it, and it starts. And they're like, "Oh, what is this? This is fascinating. This box is doing some weird lighty stuff here. What is this?"
It was really good, wasn't it? It was, you know, it was. Normally, I've just heard it like do like one beep, you know, at a certain pitch, but it was going all over the place, wasn't it, Luke?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really unusual. Never heard it. And actually, I have got that on video. I did manage to video it. Well, most of it, you know, how fast it happens. But I did manage to video that, so I'll send that across to Luke when I got a moment.
Yeah.
But it was that was really interesting. What else happened?
We were talking about when we were doing the glass moving, and people said that I was looking very strange at them around the room.
You had a bit of a weird, you had a bit of a weird look about you there. Don't quite know what was going on.
I always look like that, Julia.
No, it was like just a strange it was just like a strange look. It's hard to describe. Yeah, it was just a strange look. But we had some glass moving and it's just hard to think back. You know, it seems so long ago for Saturday night, doesn't it now?
Yeah.
Tanya's put bunk room at Widley is worth doing. Our kettle boiled itself and melted. It was empty. Oops.
Wow.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The kettle boiled on it.
You know, you're saying about that loud bang, Paul.
Yeah.
Graham's put a comment about loud bangs, so you might know something.
Oh, PC
Graham,
Dominic.
but you didn't come across PC Dominic by the some chance. Any pistol shots or loud bangs? Crazy place it was, Widley. Do you remember, Julia, when we were down the tunnels, we heard that humongous bang and we went, "Oh, what was that? It don't sound like a door, but sort of."
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really loud bang, and then I heard it again later that night, so I wasn't sure. And I thought, well, that's definitely not a door banging because the door is a lot lighter. This was like really heavy bang. So it could be. I really don't know what it was. I even walked up the tunnel where I thought it had come from, thinking someone's banging on something or whatever. But I couldn't see anything that would make that noise. So that bit I wasn't really sure about. It's a very strange bang.
When you go down the main tunnel, all the doors either side used to be open, but they're all locked now, so it wouldn't have been one of those doors. And also going back to Graham and PC Dominic, Graham's liked the photo that I put up of the man in the like archway tunnel type thing, and that was where, if Graham's still listening, PC Dominic was found. That's where you had PC Dominic, and that's where I took that picture of that man holding that. Well, to me it looks like he's holding some like yellow piece of paper or something. So Graham, maybe we'll go back over that photo and have another look and see if he's got some sort of like policeman's hat on or something, but it could well have been PC Dominic. We were
sorry Julia.
No, so I was just going to say we have to like have a closer look at that photo for Graham.
Yeah, we were in a room as myself, Gemma's put on it. Someone had Spirit Wave on, that was me, and it said Nick really clearly, and a deep Nick is there, so it was spot on. I put Spirit Wave on to try it, to give it a run, to see whether it was any good. Look, I think Luke was there, weren't you, Luke?
I was there, yeah.
And we're saying, and the room went very dark, didn't it? Again, very going from where you could see the entrance to not being able to see each other in the room. And then you sort of, and I put a Spirit Wave on and said, "Anybody here? Can you communicate with us?" And it clearly went, "Nick," in a really deep voice. And we went, "Okay." What else did it say, Luke? About the nurse. Didn't it say something about the nurse?
Yeah,
and he swore at you as well.
Yeah,
we said about the nurse.
He swore at you,
yeah, because we said, "Is there anybody else there?" He went, "Nurse." We were like, "Okay." And Gemma's like, "Oh, I'm not liking this." And then it said, "What do you want to do? Something to make us leave?" And it went, "You off." And we're like, "Well, okay, then that's the warning." Okay, it literally was as loud as that. I'm like, okay, then, you know, he was obviously getting a bit arsy with us for being in there. But wasn't that where we smelt the lavender? Luke?
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
Yeah, where we smelt the perfume and that lavender perfume in that room, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it kept getting darker.
And we thought someone was standing behind me, wasn't it, when I heard the breath?
Yeah, and you looked different in that room as well. I thought you was possessed for a minute.
Great. Got a lot of possessions going on. Great.
Yeah.
But I walked down the main tunnel totally by myself and had the loudest bang I've ever heard, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. It literally was as loud as that, the bang. It was unbelievable. Had some brilliant interaction with Dominic, very responsive to me on my 3 visits there. But he came straight through on the app. Sometimes the apps, can be a bit
subjective.
yeah. Although we never spoke the name Nick any time that we were there, so
Yeah,
for it to come out with the name that we knew that this person was there, we thought, well, okay, what's the chances of an app saying the name that was someone there? Okay, and then we said, what else? Who else is here? And it went her. We're like, oh, okay, and then it went off. We're
Yeah,
like,
'cause
right,
we've had
okay,
Nick a few times in the past, and we call him Nasty Nick because that's exactly what he is. He's nasty. And he's always with the nurse, so we always get like, And when we were there at Saturday, we got Nick. We said, "What's your name?" And he went, "Nick, N-I-C. How old are you?" And he put 51. And we said, "Oh, is there anybody else with you?" And he wouldn't answer it. He just started spinning the glass round and round and round really, really fast. And I said, "Is the nurse with you? Is the nurse with you?" Because I think the story goes, what we've learned from Nasty Nick is that he killed the nurse. So that's the story, and that's why we've nicknamed him Nasty Nick. But he always, he will normally say some sort of like nasty profanities at people, because that's just the way he is. Not
he
a
definitely
very.
did that.
Oh yeah.
Definitely was, because I think right at that time when it was like off, Gemma said, no, we've got to get out. I've got to get out. Got to get out. And she was getting a bit agitated. So I said, right, let's go then. If she's getting agitated, we all need to move out of the room. It's not the sort of atmosphere where you're standing there thinking you could go and leave one person in there. You all had to go because you just weren't sure what could have happened to one person. And Gemma was getting very agitated. She'll tell you how agitated she was getting in that room. And I said, right, let's go. Let's shut down, walk out of the room and just leave him behind. He's obviously very angry that we're here. No, what's the point? You're getting scratched or something worse happening to you, and he was obviously getting agitated with us being there.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it in any way, shape, or form by swearing like he did. So,
He must have been in
generally,
a specific room that he's like taken to. Like that's his safe zone, and you probably agitated him being in there.
maybe he was in the space. I don't know.
As you go down the spiral staircase, the tunnel on the left, right down at the bottom, the upper level, where you got that like grid bit and then you got the upper level, that's normally where Nick is. He's normally in that area. And that's also where PC Dominic is as well. So
that's on the upper level, isn't it?
Yes.
That's where we were, on the upper level in the room at the back.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, Luke?
And it said Nick, That's normally
just
where
came straight through.
About.
Yeah.
Because it was, again, like we were saying when we was in the small room off for the thing, you go into the room, your eyes are adjusted and you can see the walls around you, can't you? And you can pick out pretty good things. And again, you could see the darkness coming around the walls, literally, wasn't it, Luke? It just suddenly went as dark as dark. And then you think something's coming, something's here. And then it straight away, didn't it? Went Nick. We're like, whoa, okay. Who you with? Her, nurse. We're like, whoa, okay. And then off. And then Jen was getting really agitated. No. I need to get out. Didn't she, Luke? She's getting really panicky. So we just decided, we'll take that as a warning and we'll get out before someone gets scratched or something really untoward happens in there. He's really nasty. We didn't get him last time. That was from Tanya. We got him this time, and he was not a happy chap. I can assure you that.
I normally get him because I know he's there. I normally ask if he's there when I go because I know that he's around. But we didn't get the little boy. He didn't seem to come through.
I've got to go back over some video footage I've had running in various rooms. So
It sounds like a place I need to come to and meet him.
Absolutely. You should
Nice
come.
thing
You
is,
should come there, mate. We'll
Yeah.
all go there because it's quite
Yeah.
a place. That is.
we had
Yeah.
a really strange one once where we were doing the human pendulum in Fort Woodley, and we had this lady. She'd never done one before, never been on a ghost hunt. She was in the middle. We didn't do the human pendulum, did we, last Saturday?
No.
Completely forgot. Time just flew. And she was in the
Mm.
middle doing the human pendulum, and apparently this lady who was a secretary in one of the rooms there, she died in one of the offices because something to do with her blood or something. Can't quite remember the whole story. And anyway, she was like, the woman in the middle was going backwards and forwards answering the questions. And then we decided to stop because it was getting a bit heavy. And the lady said, that was really strange because she died of a we found out she died of a blood condition. And obviously this lady was picked from the circle to come forward and be the pendulum. And she said, well, she goes, my job is to do with like examining bloods.
Oh.
And we just looked at her as if to say, how, because she didn't know what questions we were going to ask. She was just a pendulum in the middle, and we were just asking these questions. And this lady, she died in office. She had a blood condition, and that's what she died of. And this lady who was a pendulum, that was her job, examining bloods. So it's like
Crazy, isn't it?
she was picked because of that was her job. How did anybody? I didn't know. I don't even know this lady's
Connection,
name.
wasn't it? Straight away.
Yeah, because when people book, it's just like Joe Blogs books 3 tickets.
Yeah.
Sue Smith books like 2 tickets, and all these people turn up, and you don't know who they are from Adam.
You just know the name. That's it.
Yeah, and you don't know which one of the 4 is Joe Blogs. You just don't know. So unless they come up and introduce themselves, which people don't tend to do that, they just go with the flow.
Sit on
But we
their
had,
table like, I'm scared.
we had a couple of people that never been before. That man and wife. I don't remember their names, but they really loved it, didn't they? They really enjoyed
They
it.
really had a good time.
good.
And plus the 4 that were at the wrong fault.
Oh my god!
Wow, so funny when he told me that. It's just like, how do you do that?
I was like, oh, come on, I'll show you where the base room is. And they just like stopped and they looked and they said, this is Fort Woodley. I said, yeah, I'll show you where the base room is. And they said, we're supposed to be at this other fort, which I'm not going to mention. And I was like, oh, I said, oh, who are you there with? And they said, oh, stay with us. You have much better time. But anyway.
That was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had to show them to the gate, and I would have let them stay free of charge if they wanted to stay.
That was
But
funny.
no, they didn't. They wanted to go to the other event that they were going on.
The dark side.
They wanted to
The
stay on.
dark side.
Yep, they want to go to the dark side. So I'm like, okay, I'll let you out begrudgingly.
I do like human pendulums. I do like human pendulums. But Tanya, I tell you, she's still in the chat, that if I'm not doing the pendulum, it's usually safer if I don't. And I'm sort of just there to like help catch people. I can just reel off before anyone answers a question what the answer's going to be. We did it at Cold Harbour the second time I went, when we were, I can't remember what floor it was, maybe the second floor in the main building. And Tanya was stood next to me, and I was literally turning to her when the questions would be asked and telling her everything that the yes or no is going to do without them even moving. And we had 2 people side by side, and they were both giving the same answers. It's crazy.
A bit green, isn't it?
Bye, Paul. Hi.
Where's he gone?
It's gone.
Oh no, where's he gone?
I wonder if it looked like he's like me on his phone, so I wonder if he made sure it's charged.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
is.
I do find though with the human pendulum that some people aren't that keen on it. Some people like it, and some people aren't that keen on it.
Yeah, I think some people shut down a bit too much and they go rigid. And you try just relax, just let it go. You're going to be caught. Don't worry about it. And people are just very sort of, they don't like the movement without them knowing they're doing it.
Yeah.
We've also found on a human pendulum that someone can think of a question, and that person, the pendulum in the middle, will sway, because they're sort of like maybe little bit shy, or maybe don't want to speak out and ask their question. But it's the same with the dowsing rods. You can think a question and they'll answer. And I think it's the same with any pendulum thing that you do. You can use, thought to make it move, rather than, saying your question, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Anyway, any other questions, Angela, or anything come?
Nope.
All quiet on the Western Front.
Is it time for bed?
Oh,
It's been a
I've
good
still
day,
got
isn't
a
it?
major paranormal hangover from
Have you?
the weekend. Like, yeah, I don't usually get like this. Usually, when I've done one, I'll be bouncing off the rafters.
I think I got in
go
about
the
3
polar
a.m.
opposite. Yeah,
I
we
got
got
about
in
3 a.m.
just after 3:30. I think we got back. By the time we packed up and got back, and I woke up Sunday. Luckily, Sunday was just a complete free day for me. I didn't have to do anything but be a vegetable. I just didn't have to do anything.
Just as
We've
well,
got
really.
Shepherd's Mallet, haven't we, in a couple of weeks, haven't we? And that's
Yes, we've got.
that's till 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's like literally like 45 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, yeah.
So we're there
We're
in
there
a couple of weeks.
I
on
love
the
it.
3rd of May.
It's such
That's
a good
it.
place.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to that one. I do now regret going till 4. I think I think maybe we'll have to sort of I don't know. Maybe we'll
it's
finish
one of
a little
those.
bit
See how
earlier.
your guests are. If your guests are gone by then you got that right to head on, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
think
expect you're fully
3
booked
o'clock
for that,
is.
aren't you?
We still got some spaces.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that because Shepton's so popular.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, £46. So we're doing it, as cheap as we can possibly do it. So
That's a good margin for Sheppy.
not too bad, is it? And that's like 9
No,
till 4.
because obviously Shepton are trying to do it themselves now, aren't they? Well, the new owner is the cheeky bugger.
Well, yeah, but it's all to do with experience, isn't it? Anybody can run a ghost hunt, but you've got to have that something behind you where if it does go flat, or you've got other things you can pull out the bag to try and get the activity going again. And it's just having that knowledge and experience that you can fall back on and say, right, okay, we'll do this, we'll like go and do this and like raise the energy again and try and get it going. And but yeah, it's each to one's own and everything.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. Once people start like going to ghost groups and you find like your match where you just get a bond with people, don't you? And you're like, right, I'm going with them again because last time, and it's like even when things are slightly quiet, they do different things and straight away, bang, we get a little bit of evidence, not a lot, but that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
We get a lot of that. A lot of people have been before, and familiar faces, don't you, Julia? You see, oh, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, we're back again. We can't wait for this. Been waiting ages, and so it's nice to get people that are coming back that you recognise, because you must be doing a good job of what you're doing for them to come back, isn't it?
Like I say, we only helped out doing events before, and we've had so many people like message saying, "Oh, please do some more events. We loved it when you're doing it." It's like, yeah, but we don't really do it. We like being a private group and just sharing what we find.
Yeah, it's difficult. It takes a lot of dedication to do events.
Well, that's it. It's a lot of organising, making sure your paperwork's sort of all up to date, etc. And it's time, isn't it? It's always
risk
time.
assessments. We have to do a risk assessment for every event we do, and I've got like a template, and I just sort of like adjust that as to where we're going. So and you've got to think of the health and safety. And if you haven't been there before, some of them like you to do a site visit, but it's not always possible because of of the distance and everything where you live. So there's lots of research that goes into it. And I've also found, like I was saying to somebody at the weekend, venues used to want you to pay the balance like a week or 2 weeks before your event, but now they're asking for it sort of like 6 weeks. I've had about 3 recently that have wanted it 6 weeks before the event, and I've made them wait until 4 weeks before the event, because I think, well, that's fair. And you think, well, I've still got 4 weeks to sell, and I've got to hit those targets, or because I remember we did one last year, and it was extremely expensive, and they wanted a balance, like way before, and I thought I've still got like weeks and weeks of selling to do, and you're asking for like the balance already, which it doesn't seem to be quite fair sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's I think the joy I get from it is when people say, well, one, you see people returning, and two, when people say, oh gosh, I've got this or I've got that, or they show you a photo, or they take away something, or you see them returning, and then they go off on their own, and they do like their own little like experiments, and you're like, wow, we've taught them that. That's what they've learned from us, and they go off and we're going to take some photos, or we're going to do some glass movement. We've brought a glass with us. Can we go? Yeah, of course you can. And you think, well, we've taught them that. We've taught them how to do that. And yeah, I think that's the joy of what we get out of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, if there's no more comments, Angela, is it all quiet?
Yeah, there's just sort of little chit chats going on, but yeah.
Okay. So
No, they don't want to talk to us. They're just going to talk amongst themselves. That's charming.
you carry on then. You carry on. We'll sit here all night, talk amongst yourselves. Anyway, so thank you, Jamie, for telling us all about your investigation and coming on again tonight.
No, pleasure.
Thank you for that. Nice to see you, Julia, Luke, Angela, all looking well. So it only remains me to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for your comments. It's good to have Jamie on here, listen to his teams and events and that, and Julia and us with our Paranation events at the weekend. So it only remains me to say have a safe week and happy investigations if you're out of the weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.